Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Walk This Way podcast. I'm Corbin, and I'll be your host as we navigate through the ups and downs of what I believe is the best streaming service out there, Disney+. Whether you're a Star Wars fanatic or one who loves watching reruns of DuckTales and Lizzie McGuire, this podcast is for you. So, grab a chair, grab a coffee, and grab a movie, because today I'll be answering 15 Disney questions in 15 minutes. Before we kick things off, you may be asking yourself, what exactly is the Walk This Way podcast? And no, we're not going to be talking about that Aerosmith song. This is a podcast that focuses on Disney+. I found myself watching tons of Disney+ content without a group to really discuss it with. Enter the possibilities of podcasting. This platform gave me the opportunity to share my voice about the great things happening with Disney+, so I grabbed a microphone and got started. Well, I've already taken out a chunk of time with this intro. I'm going to try my best to answer 15 of your questions before 15 minutes is up. Let's go!
Question 1.
Tiffany S. asks, what is your favorite DCOM? This one's tough, because I have a bunch of DCOMs that I like a lot. I still have to go with my tried and true favorite though, so I'm going to say High School Musical 3. There's just nothing like seeing a High School Musical movie in theaters.
Question 2.
Kaylin B. asks, which Toy Story is your favorite? Man, I love all the Toy Story movies, but I've got to go with Toy Story 2. Jessie and Bullseye as additions to the cast are so good, and this is the proverbial Empire Strikes Back of the Toy Story franchise. I couldn't have asked for anything better, really. I just really love Toy Story 2. I like the double antagonist structure we have with Stinky Pete and Al from Al's Toy Barn. It's just a really good combination of antagonists that really play to the strengths of both Buzz and Woody and the rest of the toys. It's really good.
Question 3.
Beck B. asks, how old were you the first time you went to Disney? Man, I went to Disney World when I was about 5 years old, but I really don't remember a ton from that trip. The first trip that I can kind of remember vividly in my head was when I was about 8, and that was one of a life-changing moments for me, and I really came to enjoy what Disney World offers as a place of magic and a place of home for so many people.
Question 4.
Carson H. asks, what's your favorite Disney movie after 2010? Man, I hate this 2010 cutoff because Tangled would so take the cake right here. But since Tangled is in 2010 and I'm going after 2010, let's see, my favorite would probably be Frozen. Yes, the music is overplayed so often, but walking out of the first time I saw it in theaters, I really appreciated that movie. And I said, man, this movie is so good. The story and the plot twists and all of it are just paired perfectly together. So I've got to say Frozen with this one.
Question 5.
Emily C. asks, thoughts on the live-action remakes? You know, honestly, I haven't had a big problem with the live-action remakes. I'm not a super stickler against sequels and remakes, and at this point, I'm just excited for the next Disney movie, whatever that looks like. While none of them have yet rivaled the originals at all, I appreciate the ones that kind of take different directions to the original storyline, like the Jungle Book with the animal-focused story, whereas the original Jungle Book was more sketches and more quick songs and on to the next scene. The Jungle Book in 2016 with a live-action hybrid had like a really coherent storyline across it. Similar things could be said about the 2015 Cinderella movie. I love Lily James, and she really carried the character of Cinderella so well. I really appreciated the cohesiveness of the storyline too. Cate Blanchett was the perfect villain. I think the connection between Prince Charming and Cinderella was really highlighted from the beginning, and Helena Bonham Carter just pulls off a beautiful fairy godmother performance.
Question 6.
Randy S. asks, which princess is the most like Luke? If I'm reading this question correctly, I'm pretty sure he's asking about my brother Luke, who will actually be featured in my next episode about Season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. If he was instead asking about Luke Skywalker, I'd have to say that Luke Skywalker is most like Moana. They're both fierce, they're both cocky at times, and they're both surprisingly romanceless.
Question 7.
Beck B is back with another question. He asks, have you been to Disneyland LA? And if so, when? Yes, I have been to Disneyland. I actually took a trip in the summer of 2019 for the first time, and I loved it.
Question 8.
Kelly C asks, favorite Disney princess? I have to say right now my favorite Disney princess is Belle, just because I feel like I relate the most with Belle. I really appreciate Rapunzel and Tangled. I like her optimism, but I think Belle kind of has that. She's both optimistic, obviously, in her love towards the Beast, but she's also like smart and she's kind of got her wits about her as she goes, and I really appreciate that.
Question 9.
Sophie B asks, favorite Disney Channel show? I've always loved Phineas and Ferb, but I've got to give Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure a slight edge due to the recency of my rewatch. Just watch the Season 2 finale of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, and I promise you'll be hooked.
Question 10.
Cole H asks, favorite attraction song? Oh man, so a lot of these attractions, like a lot of my favorite songs from attractions, are not really used in the park as much anymore. I'm just thinking right now, off the top of my head, of the 3 that I really enjoy the most, I'd have to say the Soarin' Over California theme, the Canada You're a Lifetime Journey song from Oh Canada in the Epcot Pavilion, and Hooray for Hollywood, the anthem of the great movie ride in the former MGM studios. I really like all those songs, and they're the ones that end up being repeated on my Disney music playlist. So I'd have to say those 3.
Question 11.
Ellie J asks, fave Disney princess versus fave Disney princess movie, and are they the same? Okay, so my favorite Disney princess is Belle, but my favorite Disney princess movie is actually Tangled. So no, they're not the same.
Question 12.
The next question is, what's your favorite episode of The Mandalorian? I really liked episodes 7 and 8, but I've got to go with episode 3 on this one, The Sin. The fact that the Mandalorian actually brought the child back and returned him to Werner Herzog's character, the Client, was completely unexpected to me. And the action sequences during the heist mission to retrieve Baby Yoda were great. I mean, we had the Mandalorians coming down from the sky, showering them in a blaze of bullets. It was a great sequence, and I just love seeing all of the Mandalorian's little gadgets and things that he has on his suit of armor, from his flamethrower to the disintegration gun that he has. It's kind of awesome just to see how each of those action styles comes into his fighting requirements.
Question 13.
Here's the next question. I heard you just got finished watching Agent Carter on Disney+. What were your thoughts on the show as a whole? So yeah, I just got finished watching Agent Carter for the first time on Disney+. I'm not really sure how I missed watching it on ABC while it was airing, but it was great to finally catch up on the show after a few years. Peggy Carter has always been one of my favorite MCU characters since Captain America: The First Avenger, and I think that Haley Atwell perfectly portrays the character. I have to say, though, I did like the first season of Agent Carter better than the second season of the show. The first season was good on the spy detective vibe, and there were only some minor ventures into the sci-fi world. The second season, though, seemed to flip a switch and included boatloads of sci-fi superhuman elements that weren't really explained very well. It's still a great show, don't get me wrong, but the more practical stakes of the first season kept me more intrigued and excited. I'm definitely of the camp that they should bring back Agent Carter for another season, and maybe it could get continued as a feature on the Disney Plus platform. And we never got to see Arnim Zola in the show after his tease at the end of season 1, so I need Agent Carter to return ASAP.
Question 14.
The next question is, what's your favorite Walt Disney World snack? I've had some great snacks across the Walt Disney World property. from the awesome Ohana bread pudding at the Polynesian Resort to the loaded funnel cakes at Oasis Canteen in Disney's Hollywood Studios. There's only one snack that I go out of my way to get every time, though, and it's the fan favorite Dole Whip float. The pineapple soft serve is perfectly refreshing for a long day in the parks. And Aloha Isle can go ahead and just take my $6.50 because I'm going to always cave in to buy a Dole Whip.
Question 15.
Here's the final question for today. Which Disney movie do you want to watch next? I wasn't alive to see The Black Cauldron when it premiered in 1985, but I've always been interested to see how it marked Disney's first PG animated movie. I can't explain it, but there's just some draw for me to watch movies that didn't do well at the box office, as I've already struggled my way through films like Cats and the Emoji Movie. I have somewhat high hopes for The Black Cauldron, though, and it has seemed to garner a devoted following in the 30 years since its release. I'm excited to see how it is. And I have a question for all of you. What's next on your Disney Plus watch list? Send your responses to the wdwpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be sharing some of your responses in our upcoming episodes. Well, there you have it. We officially made it through all 15 questions in under 15 minutes. If you want to stay updated about the great things happening with the Walk This Way podcast, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the WDW Podcast. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Walk This Way podcast, and tune in next time for more Disney magic. See ya!